where I do my makeup.
And I talk about a movie.
And today we are going to talk about
Timeless,
which is a show on NBC, and we'll get into that in a minute. But before we do that, I want to say that this video is going to be a St. Patrick's Day look. And I know that's weird to do it with Timeless, but you know, that it's a history thing. This is also a collab with a bunch of ladies from my Geeks and Beauties group, and I'm gonna put all their information down below so you can check it out. I've already seen a few of the looks that they've created, and they're pretty cool. Let me tell you, you need to check some of these people out, or all of them. Just check them all out. Yeah. Everything I've already used on my look is going to be down below for you, so check it out, see what I used. There's some new products on here as well, but I'm going to be using the Too Faced Totally Cute palette, as well as a pigment from Sleepy Fox called Siren's Call. So I'll get into that in a minute. The first thing I wanted to tell you is that I've already put the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil on my lid as a base. I've noticed that lately this has been like really nice to kind of like make the eyeshadow pop a lot more. But the primer that I used was the Lorac Eye Primer, and I've decided I just don't like it because it makes my eye really tacky. So I use some of this instead. So what I'm going to be doing with this palette, I don't know if you've seen this palette at all, but this was given to me by my friend Megan. She had a bunch of Too Faced palettes that she had received as a gift, but she does not like Too Faced palettes, and so I collect them, so I was like, all right, I'll take it. So I am going to be using Ice Cream Cutie. There's this color right here all over the lid. Then what I'm going to be using is this color right here. It's called Bunny Foo Foo.
Little bunny foo foo hopping through the forest.
And Bunny Foo Foo is going to go in the crease. And then it's also in the crease, I'm going to put Clover, and it's this green color, which is the one Marshall was like, you need to use that color. So I'm gonna use this green color, and then I'm gonna use a little bit of this, and it's Storm Cloud, and I'm gonna put that just on the outside of the crease, kind of try to blend. So what you're gonna see me do throughout most of this video is just blend stuff out while he's talking. So that's basically my plan, and then I will show you how I'm going to use the other. If you want to see swatches of this, they are on my Instagram, as are almost all my other swatches, so you can go on there and see what they look like there.
Very good. So Timeless. This has been a really fun show to watch, actually. Timeless is a show all about a series of time travelers. You have two different ships, the mothership and the lifeboat. And the lifeboat is kind of a rickety old thing, where the mothership is much more iPhone-esque, let's say.
Yes.
And a terrorist.
Yeah, I mean, let me go back to that.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about the mothership being iPhone, then the other ship, which is called the lifeboat, would be Nokia.
Yes.
In the 80s, where, you know, it was really tiny and kind of like a brick, that kind. Not the Nokia now. Yeah. But yes.
Yeah, so they're very different ships. They're the same in structure, but one is really janky. A terrorist has taken the mothership and is going through time, and he's killing people, and he's changing the past. So a historian, Lucy Preston, is teamed up with a Navy SEAL, and one of the engineers that worked on the project to go back in time and stop him.
And the engineer actually is the only one who knows how to fly the lifeboat.
So he is their pilot, and if anything happens to him, they are stranded. So why don't they keep him back in the boat? Stay in the car chuck.
Stay in the car chuck. Comment below if you know what that's from, which you should, because we just told you.
Yes. So what's really fun about this show is watching the time change, watching the timeline shift and alter based off of people's actions, because, spoiler, they don't always succeed in stopping him.
Let's just say that a lot of the things that happen, that they change, doesn't really happen in history. So, for example, like, you're gonna go in and watch, I don't even remember, watch the Hindenburg, I think that was the first episode.
Yep.
The Hindenburg is supposed to blow up, but it doesn't. So what happens? What happens there?
And it makes different people live that shouldn't have lived, and certain people die that shouldn't have died. And butterfly effect, all sorts of things change. In fact, that one instance somehow causes her mother not to meet a certain man who would father her sister, and in the process learned that the man she thought was her father was not her father. It's a big reveal, but it's only like the first episode that you learn all this.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really interesting to see what does change, and each character does have their own motivations for what they're doing. Even the terrorist isn't necessarily the worst of guys, and he's not truly a terrorist.
True.
He's just a guy that wants his family back.
And, you know, if you've been watching Legends of Tomorrow, which we also talk about in a different makeup movie, it's very similar.
Yeah.
That guy just wants his family back, so it sounds like he's doing all these really bad things in order to get it to happen, but in reality, his motivation is not horrible.
Yes.
Yes.
And there's also another hint to something that might happen later. In fact, we don't even know because it hasn't fully been revealed yet.
Yeah.
By the end of the first season, that for some reason Lucy gives him a journal.
Yeah, and they do talk about this, and then even at the last episode, he kind of talks about it too, and he's kind of like, you know, gives an indication of as to when in her life she might have given him this journal. Now, let me back up and say that as of this point, this show has not been renewed for season 2. It's still too early to tell. They'll probably be making the announcement in May, but they were able to kind of wrap it up in such a way that most of your questions are answered, and there is plenty of room for a cliffhanger or two.
Yes. And in the same light, I would actually like to go back and see if the sequence of things that happened in the past as they were originally supposed to happen actually were the way that they happened. Because the ending suggests that time might continue to get altered even further.
Yes.
And events that we already saw in the series might get changed
It
again.
is true. One of the things that I really enjoyed about this series is that, like, I am kind of interested in history, in that more American history, I guess, is my interest, but in this, there are a few things that are not American history, but most of it is. And there were points where I was like, I did not know that happened. So, for example, and this is not a spoiler, because it actually says this in the title, but there was an episode about a murder hotel that happened during the World's Fair. Now, there are some things that they followed that were true, and there were some things that weren't. And after I saw the episode, I went on and I was researching it because I was so interested in this happening. And it's kind of terrifying that this actually happened in the world, but yeah, it makes you think twice about staying at a hotel at that point in time. But yeah, it was just really interesting that there were things, and I think that was maybe the point of the show was, you know, to have people look at this and go, is this something that happened? I don't know. Let me go back and look at it, and in the process, you're learning more about history.
Yes. Another big aspect is that Rufus, the pilot and engineer for the lifeboat, is black. And pretty much every period in history they go to, racism is rampant. As a black guy, he can't really just walk around normally and not have people go like, what's going on with you?
Exactly. Or he didn't really know the social norms at the time, so he would do a faux pas. I mean, and the same can be said for the woman. I mean, many of the points in history that they go to, women and black people were kind of in the same boat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've got this one guy who's like a military guy. He's pretty much safe wherever he goes. He protects himself. He's a white guy, you know, he's okay.
My problem is that he never carries period weaponry.
No, he doesn't.
He always carries a modern pistol. I would not do that if I was time traveling. I would carry an old-timey pistol.
Well, actually, that wasn't always the case. There were a couple episodes where he did, but then he kind of gave up and was like, what's the point? So he just kind of did. He did carry the modern one.
It's only like when they actually catch you with it, when they look at it and see, oh, what the? This is not normal.
What is this? Yeah.
Because a lead bullet is a lead bullet one way or the other. So are you ready for some fun trivia?
Maybe too early for fun trivia.
Maybe too early for fun trivia.
Yeah, well,
we don't have a huge amount of trivia, actually.
We really don't. Why don't you touch a little bit about, like, and we will not go fully into this, but he does have some issues with this show. So why don't you talk about that just a little bit?
The writers and even the characters don't seem to really grasp the concept of a timeline, or timelines, as the case may be. Now, depending on the different show or media that you're watching, they might have a different cosmology of how timelines work. But this show is not very consistent with how it treats it. There is one model that says that there's a whole bunch of different branching timelines, and when you go back and you change something in the past, you're actually jumping into another timeline. There's another way of saying it where there's only one timeline, and by going back in the past and changing things, everything thereafter has changed. But the writers didn't seem to notice which one they were using at which time. If at any point in the show something got changed in the past, the people in the present would never have noticed because it got changed in the past.
Exactly.
And this is why we really don't want to get into it here, because this is really complicated stuff. It's just, I wish that they had taken a little bit more time to realize which one they were working with.
All right, so a couple more things I'm gonna do with my eye look. I'm gonna take this color right here. It's called Totally Cute. It's kind of this like really nice shimmery white shade, and I'm just gonna blend out up here just because there's a little too much happening. Then I'm gonna take the color from Sleepy Fox called Siren's Call. It's a really beautiful like green. I'm gonna use the e.l.f. Matte Magic Mist and Set to spray down the brush before I put it on my lid, and then I'm just gonna put this on, and that will make it, give it a lot more like a green color. I might actually put a little bit on my under eye line, but I don't want a lot of fallout, and this one does have a lot of fallout because it's a pigmented color, so we are going to maybe not do that as much, but yes.
That being said, the way that this show does structure the changes in the timeline, where this changes because this happened, is actually very good. It simultaneously will make very small changes in the overall, this is how history went, to one person, but in that person's life, it's a massive change.
Yes.
And some people will deliberately attempt to change something in the past, and butterfly effect didn't work the way they thought it would.
Or they just, the universe as a whole does not want it to happen, so it won't
Which
happen.
is another interesting thing. What if the universe wants certain things to happen? Then why didn't they happen?
Exactly.
For those of you who watch Doctor Who, there's actually one whole episode where he kind of dealt with this theory. I believe it was called the Mozart paradox. I need to look up what the name of the actual paradox was. But it's one where a guy goes back in time to visit Mozart and finds that there is no Mozart, and starts making all of Mozart's music for him, not realizing that that makes him Mozart.
Exactly.
So he caused the time that he thought was true, which I think is always the best way to go about time travel. It just makes less mess.
That is true. So I really like the way that these shadows perform when wet. I have never tried it this way, and I've always wanted to, but it is actually really cool.
That is really powerfully pigmented.
Can you guys see that? That is...
Yes, they can see that.
And I'm trying not to look up too much because I don't want it to smudge. I want it to dry a little bit more, so I can't look up.
Now, based off the swatch that I saw earlier, this is actually even better pigmented when wet.
Yeah, and I think that this is a way that I'm going to start using a lot of my pigmented shadows, or my shadow pigments, is to do it this way where it's wet when you put it on. I am a little not happy with the under part of it, just because I feel like it looks a little muddy. So I think I might go back in with a little more bunny foo-foo and try to put it in the crease and kind of blend it down a little bit more while we're talking. So why don't you go with fun facts? Because after this, I'm going to be doing my Kat Von D liquid liner and then the lipstick. So
okay, so let's deal with whether or not it's going to get renewed. Now, the season was originally designed as a 13-episode season, which isn't exceptionally long, but it is very action-packed.
it's about what first seasons are like. a new show season is right now, is they order 13 seasons so that they can figure out if it's going to be good or not, and then the second season is usually a full season.
Yeah. And it's a very action-packed season. You're going to be on the edge of your seat and going, well, what else could happen the entire time? And they will keep on surprising you. It's worth watching. And because they didn't know whether or not they were going to renew it, NBC decided to order 3 more episodes. So this is a 16-episode season. And those 3 extra episodes were really popular. And I thought that they were even better than the rest of the series.
Yeah, the last ones were really good.
So we personally think that it's going to end up getting renewed. But if it's not, we'll be sad. I actually want to see more of this. Some other time travel related trivia. I actually just finished watching through all of the next generation of Star Trek.
Not for the first time.
Not for the first time, mind you, but this again. And there was one episode called A Matter of Time, where there was a time traveling thief who had come to the Enterprise from way back in the past, and he had just gotten his hands on a time travel device from somebody in the future. That same guy was played by Matt Frewer, and
you may have known him from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Now, I don't have what he played in this show.
He is the guy who worked on the lifeboat that got kidnapped by the bad guy, by the villain.
Yes, now I remember. Yeah, so there's another engineer, and he's actually kind of Rufus's teacher and upperclassman in this organization that's made the time machine. So he was a time traveler before.
So he actually knows how to fly the lifeboat, which is why they chose him to go over.
And I think he must have. Oh no, he didn't teach the terrorists to time travel. They actually get another pilot later on.
They do.
Yeah. If you watch very closely to the opening credits, which are not very long, thankfully,
yes.
They have this ticker that will go through a bunch of different dates. If you watch the very first date, that is the date that they will time travel to in that episode.
Yes.
Yes.
Although you'll also know by what the title is called, what it is. For example, one of the last episodes was called The Red Scare, and it was about what was happening during, the whole Russian
the House
thing.
Un-American.
Right, like Joe McCarthy, that kind of thing. By the way, I totally forgive my hair right now. I didn't do anything to it because I'm about to film a brush straightener video right after this, so it looks kind of weird. Apologize.
But you're not here for her hair, you're here for her face.
I will link that video below because it's going up before this one. And while we're talking about the last 2 totally awesome fun facts, or maybe the last fun fact, the last fun fact is pretty cool. I'm going to show you my lip. Now this is the Sephora Luster Matte Longwear Lipstick, and it's in the shade Fig Luster. I have tried to wear this earlier on when I first got it last week, and I really like the formula. It's really moisturizing, it is long lasting, but it's not transfer proof. I ended up getting it everywhere, and so I am now very particular about where I went when I wear this. So I'm going to use it for this because I feel like it's a really nice muted color for the pop of green that's happening on my eyes right now.
Okay. You ready? If you've watched this show already and you're just coming in for the makeup look, get ready to have your mind absolutely exploded.
Totally.
Yes. So the 2 biggest characters in the show is the historian, Lucy Preston, and the Navy SEAL guy, Wyatt Logan. But we've had 2 other time travelers with the last name of Preston and Logan. Now who are they?
Bill S. Preston, Esquire.
And Ted Theodore Logan.
And we are
Wild Stallions!
You get it now?
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Rufus Carlin is a nod to Rufus, the time traveler that gave them the phone booth in the first place.
Who was played by... Go ahead.
George Carlin.
For those of you who've grown up in the 80s and 90s, this is, I watched an entire series and didn't even know this. Didn't even dawn on me. And I was like, yeah, this is amazing.
Oh, Rufus, his last name is Carlin. That was one thing that we didn't put in there.
You said that.
I just said Rufus.
It's Carlin. You just said that.
I did. What?
Yes, you did.
I don't know. I need more of this.
Anyway, that is Timeless and my St. Patrick's Day look. Very green, very timeless. I don't know.
It's got the same kind of pop as the Jackie O outfits that she wore in the episodes.
Probably. Although I probably could have worn, you know, more St. Patrick's Day earrings, but whatever. I will put the link to the Sleepy Fox website if you're interested in purchasing other shadows, as well as a video where we kind of talk a little bit about the Sleepy Fox shadows and the swatches on. Make sure you also go to Instagram for that. But thank you so much for watching, and until next time,
Stay zany.
bye-bye.